Imagine losing your massive 30-room mansion, your 30 staff members, your royal duties, and then moving on to your big brother's property, only to have absolutely everyone, including the employees on that very estate, actively avoid you. That's not a movie plot. According to reports, that's the reality for Prince Andrew right now. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more awkward, a new bombshell has dropped that might be the final nail in the coffin of this already shattered royal relationship. But here's what nobody saw coming. Even after his siblings showed up for a visit, the one person who matters most may never speak to him again. Ever. Let me explain why. First, a quick payoff so you understand how bad things have gotten. According to sources, Andrew moved from his lavish royal lodge, a 30-room mansion where he once had around 30 employees catering to his every need, to a much more modest 5-bedroom home on the King's Sandringham estate. That's a massive downgrade, no matter who you are. But here's the twist that makes this story really sad and fascinating at the same time. Even the staff at Sandringham, who work for the king himself, have reportedly tried to avoid Andrew. And it's not just because of the recent headlines everyone knows about. Apparently, according to insiders, he's had a difficult reputation for treating his employees poorly for decades. So now you have a former prince living in a smaller house on his brother's land, being dodged by the very people who are paid to be there. That's a level of isolation that's hard to imagine. But wait, this is where the story gets even more interesting. You'd think that since Andrew is now living on the king's own Norfolk estate, King Charles might at least pop in for a cup of tea, right? Just to check on his younger brother. According to reports, that hasn't happened. And according to a new bombshell from a source close to the royal family, it may never happen, like ever. The source dropped this jaw-dropper. The hard reality is that the king may never speak to Andrew again. Let that sink in. The King of England, the head of the monarchy, potentially going the rest of his life without exchanging a single word with his own brother. That's not a family feud, that's a full-blown royal rupture. Now, before you think this is just media exaggeration, let me give you the other side of the story. Recently, Prince Edward did pay Andrew a visit, and Princess Anne also reportedly reached out after a difficult incident involving Andrew earlier this year, so some of the siblings are still in contact. That led some royal watchers to wonder if the family might be slowly thawing toward him. Maybe a reunion was possible. Maybe Charles would soften. But according to that same source, that's completely wrong. The visits from Edward and Anne don't mean Charles is changing his mind. In fact, the source says Charles and Andrew were never close as brothers to begin with. Tensions between them long predate any recent scandals, so the foundation was already shaky, and now it's basically crumbled. Here's the real kicker, the part that explains everything. According to the insider, the king feels that he was lied to, not just misled, but actively lied to, in the context of the ongoing investigation. And, as the source put it, that's not easy to forgive. But here's where Charles has a responsibility that goes beyond brotherly love. He's not just a sibling, he's the monarch, and in that role, according to the source, he has to protect the monarchy above all other considerations, even personal ones. So, even if Charles personally wanted to reconcile, and reports suggest he doesn't, the crown itself might forbid it. That's the weight of the position. You don't get to have family drama when you're the symbol of an entire institution.
Now, let me add my own opinion here, because I think this is genuinely heartbreaking on a human level. Look, I'm not defending anyone's past behavior, but imagine being Andrew right now. You've lost your home, your staff, your public role, your reputation. Even the staff on your brother's estate won't look you in the eye. Your older brother, the king, may never speak to you again. and 2 of your other siblings have visited, but that doesn't seem to change anything. That's a level of loneliness that's hard to comprehend. At the same time, I get why Charles has to keep his distance. The monarchy has survived for over 1,000 years by putting the institution first. One person's family drama can't be allowed to bring down the entire house. So as cold as it sounds, the king is probably making the only choice he can. Still, it's a sad situation all around. But here's the curiosity gap that keeps me watching. What happens next? According to the source, it would take an enormous shift in the king's thinking for them even to be in the same room. That means no quick fix, no Christmas reunion, no quiet forgiveness behind closed doors. Andrew is reportedly in a social no man's land, as one commentator put it. And here's the part that really stings. According to some reports, Andrew is now making Prince Harry and Meghan Markle look popular by comparison. Think about that. The couple who left the royal family and moved to another continent is somehow seen as less controversial right now than the king's own brother. That's how far Andrew has fallen. Let me give you another mini payoff. The king has previously issued public statements fully supporting the proper legal process. He said the law must take its course, and he made it clear that while that process continues, it wouldn't be right for him to comment further. So Charles is doing exactly what a responsible monarch should do, staying quiet, letting the system work, and focusing on his duty. But according to the source, regardless of how the investigation ends, the relationship may already be beyond repair, because trust was broken. And in a family where image is everything, broken trust doesn't get fixed with a simple apology. Now, what about Prince William and Princess Catherine? According to reports, they're also not rushing to have heart-to-hearts with Uncle Andrew. And why would they? William is the future king. He has to protect his own reputation and the monarchy's future. Having a close relationship with someone at the center of so many negative headlines would be a public relations disaster. So Andrew finds himself isolated, not just from his brother the king, but from the entire next generation of royals as well. No one wants to be seen with him. No one wants to risk the backlash. And that, honestly, might be the cruelest part of all. Not the official punishment, but the silent, invisible wall that everyone around him has built. So where does that leave us? According to reports, Andrew strenuously denies any wrongdoing, and legally he's entitled to that presumption. But in the court of public opinion and within the royal family's internal dynamics, the damage is already done. The source's final line is chilling. It would not be right for me to comment further, but the implication is clear. The king may never speak to Andrew again. Not tomorrow, not next year, maybe not ever. And on a human level, that's incredibly sad. 2 brothers born into the same family, sharing the same parents, the same history, and now, potentially, a lifetime of silence. Before I wrap up, here's my final take. I don't think anyone wins here. The monarchy protects itself, but at the cost of family. Andrew faces isolation, but he's not innocent in how he got there. And the rest of us watch from the outside, fascinated and a little uncomfortable. But one thing is certain, this story isn't over. Investigations continue, legal processes take time, and who knows, maybe years from now something changes. But according to the source we have today, don't hold your breath. What do you think? Should the king eventually forgive his brother, or is the silence justified? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more royal updates because this family drama never really ends.